This is Rob Tebbutt for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. Delighted to be joined by unbeaten super bantamweight prospect, star of the future, Qais Ashfaq. We're here in Leeds after Josh Warrington was announced as re-signing with Matchroom Boxing. But enough about that. How you doing, Qais?
I'm great. What about you?
Very good, mate. Very good, thank you. Nice to see you. Been a while. Talk to me. What have you been up to?
Yeah, just keeping busy really. Obviously won the WBA Continental in my last fight, so I'm looking forward to defending that soon. We're looking at around March time, so just getting ready for that.
Now, I know that a name that's been kind of thrown your way is Jack Hillier, somebody who I actually know quite well from my various jaunts down to McGuigan's gym. Is that the fight that you're looking at next? Is that the fight that we can realistically expect to see from you?
So I believe I was supposed to be fighting Jack Hillier in the Bournemouth show, March 14th, but with the dates being changed and that show, I believe it's going to be in April now. With that being changed, wherever they put me on as in terms of a date, depends on who I fight. So it may be him, may not be him, but I'll fight anyone.
How much, if at all, you might not care about it, I'm sure you do, have you got an eye on Lucian Reid versus Brad Foster next week? Obviously the British title at super bantamweight too, guys. I certainly know that you know Lucian Reid well from the amateurs. What do you make of that fight, and is that a fight that you can expect to push on for this year?
Yeah, so in my eyes, definitely I want the British and Commonwealth this year, if not European level and above. But yeah, I watched the first fight as well. I thought Lucian Reid, he beat Foster. I thought it was by a few rounds as well. But the rematch will be interesting because you never know what game plan will be this time and how they'll adjust. But yeah, I'll be keeping a close eye on that fight, and I want the winner.
Style-wise, which fight do you think is a better fit for you? Obviously, you and Lucian Reid are both former standout amateurs, a lot of amateur experience. Brad Foster from a kickboxing background. Would that probably be the better fight for you stylistically?
Style-wise, in my opinion, I believe the Foster fight would be an easier fight, just because the styles, like you say. But I know Lucian Reid from the amateurs. We boxed twice in the amateurs as well. So yeah, either fight for me really. I believe in my ability, and I think I've got to get past these sort of kids because my aim's world titles, and these are just stepping stones.
You mentioned that kind of your aim being world titles. How far do you think you're away from really pushing forward for these, like for the serious titles, for the British titles? Do you think that could happen early 2020, towards the end of the year? How quickly are you looking to get involved in those fights?
Late 2020, if not the year after. I believe I will be on that level. And like I say, these fights now and winning the British, Commonwealth and the European are just stepping stones to my aim and my goal, and however long it takes. I'm 26 now, 27 next month, so people might say I'm still young, but I'm not no spring chicken no more. But yeah, like I say, the sooner the better. But I know I've got to go through the levels first and adjust myself into the pro game, which I'm doing very well now, and just get used to the 12 rounds and stuff like that.
I was just about to come on to that, because the first time I ever met you, I was in Vauxhall with Linares when you were both with Salas at the time. Obviously, it's a few years back now. You mentioned kind of your development and how you're adjusting to life as a professional. How do you think that's going? Do you feel ready now as a professional? Do you feel there's still little bits to iron out? How do you feel? Because with various different people, the transition can be different for different fighters. How have you found it, and do you feel like you're over that now?
For me personally, I thought it started off. I felt like nothing was going right. First few fights, maybe 4 fights, maybe. But now, moving on to 8, 9, 10 fights, I feel like I'm finally making that transition, and I'm feeling better and feeling stronger, feeling more solid every single day. So yeah, I believe now. I don't think I'm fully like a fully fledged professional yet, but I believe I'm going the right way about it, and I believe very soon I'll be ready to challenge for them big titles.
What was it about it that made it difficult? Because as I say, some fighters, it's a lot easier than others. Some people take a little bit longer. What was it for you in particular that was difficult?
For me personally, me being the sort of amateur that I was always on the back foot, boxing, mainly always on my toes, and just little things like just getting used to knowing when to slow your feet down a little bit, knowing when to just defend and move, and obviously knowing exactly what stage you are in every round, like first minute, second minute, third minute of every round, and how when to work and when not to work, little things like that. But like I say, now I feel like I'm finally getting used to it, and I'm ready to push on.
As I just mentioned at the start of the interview, we're here because of Josh Warrington re-signing with Matchroom. How much of an inspiration or how much of a motivation is that for you to know that these big fights are going to be coming back to Yorkshire, well, according to Eddie, sometime soon?
No, it's amazing news for me because I remember I was sitting there listening to Josh and Eddie talk, and I was getting goosebumps thinking, you know what, these shows in Leeds get me involved and they'll be, you know, I literally can't wait. And yeah, like I said, I found out about Warrington coming back to Matchroom, and that helps a lot for me because there's not really been many shows since Warrington's gone, and me being a Leeds born and bred lad myself, it's just amazing news, and it'll be perfect for my career, so the local people that may not want to travel as far can come watch me now as well.
Straight on the phone to Eddie?
Straight on the phone to Eddie. I actually pulled him after he got off the stage. Had a little quick chat, and I believe he's got plans on getting me on the lead shows, which obviously he would. But the main focus on that conversation was the next date, which I'm waiting to find out this week when it'll be.
We look forward to hearing from that. Final one on Josh Warrington. Who would you like to see him fight next? Obviously, we've had all kinds of names thrown about today. Canzoo, Galahad rematch, all sorts of names. Who would you like to see him face?
I think the toughest fight is Guy Russell Jr., but I think the obvious, well, maybe not the obvious one, but the one that I think will be made next is the Canzoo fight, just because it's a homecoming. He's got a world title. He may not be the best of the best, but it'll be an exciting fight as well, especially for the Leeds fans.
For people, I mean, people who are watching this may not be familiar with Canzoo, and it's probably a name that's going to be thrown about a lot, certainly today when all these interviews go out. What can you tell people who maybe aren't that familiar with Canzoo, what type of fighter he is and what type of fight that would be between Josh Warrington and Canzoo if it happens?
There's similarities. Mainly, they both throw a lot of shots, and in any fight that makes for an exciting fight. And any fight where both fighters' defense is their offense, it's going to be an exciting fight. So, yeah, that's the main thing with him. And yeah, like I say, he may not be. He's a world champion, but he may not be one of the top world champions. But just because of that one factor there, and knowing the crowd that Leeds pulls in, I'm sure the Leeds fans would love it.
Particularly if Qais Ashfaq's on the undercard.
Exactly.
There we go. Before I let you go, as I mentioned earlier on in the interview, you formerly trained with Ismail Salas. At the time, you had a stablemate, Joe Joyce, who has now returned to Ismail Salas ahead of his fight with Daniel Dubois. Before we talk about Salas and Joyce, talk to me about the fight, Daniel Dubois versus Joe Joyce. How do you see it going? You know both well from the amateurs. Don't sit on the fence.
So it's a tough one for me because I remember seeing Joyce and Dubois spar, and from them spars, in my head, what I'm taking away is Joyce would beat Dubois, but that's not taking into consideration how much Dubois come on recently, and I do believe he's coming a lot. So like I said, my heart for me says Joyce just because of his experience, but it is a tough one. But if I want to put my neck on the line, I'll say Joyce.
And him going back to Ismail Salas, good move?
I believe so. Without any disrespect to anyone else, I believe he was becoming a bit more. I can see he was trying to loosen his style when he went to, like, for example, people like Booth. But I believe his lead hand, the way he fights, he can't fight with a low lead hand because he's the juggernaut. You know what I mean? He's the juggernaut. He walks through people, and with that sort of style, he needs to keep both hands up and use them wedge blocks as well. But yeah, I believe Salas is very good for him, very good for his timing, very good for his footwork as well. So yeah, Salas is definitely the best option for him.
Okay, well, Qais Ashfaq, really nice to see you. Pleasant surprise. Thanks very much for speaking to Boxing Social, and hopefully catch up with you soon on a big show here in Leeds sometime soon.
Definitely. Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.